The basement hunter in the clown mask. Her hands cradled the small swell of her belly, a quiet reassurance that her baby was still safe. At 42, this was her third pregnancy. The first two ended in heartbreak, but this one was different, stronger. She had waited a decade for this moment, and now, more than ever, her only focus was keeping her little one safe. Her life, once fast-paced and full of late-night outings in Manhattan, had shifted. No more drinks with friends, no more impulsive nights out. As a top-tier lawyer, she had the means and the security she always wanted. Now, as a single mother-to-be, all her focus was on protecting her family. A career built on strength and precision bled into every part of her life, even in her off hours. Martial arts and self-defense had been her constant, a skill she honed not only for herself, but for the women she taught in her weekly classes. She'd always known the world could be dangerous, that knowledge had kept her alive. Tonight was supposed to be different. A small birthday gathering with close friends. No drinking, just laughter and celebration. She had even splurged on an expensive vintage Egyptian cat statue for her friend, a rare and valuable gift. Parking in the basement of the garage, she noticed how empty it felt. The flickering lights overhead did little to comfort her as she stepped out of her car, gripping the carefully wrapped gift in one hand. It was Wednesday, not the usual Friday or Saturday crowd, so the lot was eerily quiet, the kind of quiet that set her instincts on edge. The elevator was out of service. Of course it was. She eyed the stairs, the dim lighting casting long shadows along the narrow corridor. With a deep breath, she started her climb, the sound of her heels echoing off the cold concrete walls. But then, a sound behind her. Footsteps. Slow at first, as if someone was testing the space between them. The rhythm didn't match her own steps, and that set off an alarm in her mind. She hadn't seen another car pull in. Where did they come from? Her pulse quickened, her grip tightening on the gift. She glanced over her shoulder and her stomach sank. A man, wearing a filthy, faded clown mask. The paint was chipped, the fabric stained from years of use. In his hand he held a large knife, the blade reflecting the dim light with a sinister gleam. The scream that came out of his mouth was high-pitched, manic, like the frat boys she used to encounter during her wild nights in the city. But this was different. This scream was full of malice. His footsteps quickened, and in an instant he was sprinting towards her. "Daddy's here!" he yelled, his voice distorted through the mask. Her heart slammed against her chest. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but she couldn't. Not far and not fast enough. She had to protect the baby, her baby. Every step felt heavy as the fear gnawed at her. But she wasn't a victim. She wasn't just another woman in the wrong place at the wrong time. He didn't know who he was messing with. He lunged, swinging the knife towards her, but she was faster. With a fluid movement, she blocked his arm with the expensive cat statue, forcing him to miss his target. His surprise was palpable, as if he hadn't expected resistance from the pregnant woman he thought was easy prey. That's when she struck. Years of training took over as she slammed the gift into his face, the force of it disorienting him just long enough for her to sweep his legs out from under him. He fell tumbling down the stairs. The sickening crack of bone echoed through the empty stairwell. She stood over him, panting, watching as the body twisted unnaturally at the bottom. He was still alive, barely, but his neck was broken. He couldn't move, couldn't scream. He was trapped in his own body, gasping for air. Now his nightmare had begun. Her phone trembled in her hand as she called the police, her voice steady, despite the terror she had just survived. "Hello? 911, please, come quickly." Her friends arrived minutes later, the flashing lights of the police cars illuminating the twisted figure of the man in the clown mask. The police recognized him instantly. He was a monster who had haunted women for years. A killer who had stalked parking garages across the country, always targeting women in dimly lit basements, women who had no chance of escape. 40 victims. His body count was staggering, and he had always gotten away. Until tonight. Now, confined to a hospital bed, the killer lay immobile, paralysed from the neck down, unable to harm another soul. Trapped in his own broken body, he was forced to live out his days in silent agony, forced to relive his failure, unable to escape the horror he had once inflicted on others.
Thank you for listening today. Stay safe out there.
Join us
in the next video.
and don't get too spooked.